just want to just mention this. One of the nice things about the video, if you were over at my house and you saw an old photo, like here's an old photo from '84 or from whatever, and you say, oh, I'd like to have that photo. Oh man, yeah, it reminds me of this and this and this and this. So people we know in the hobby that have long since passed away or whatever, or out of the hobby, having these photos is nice, but having them on video is even nicer. And this is one way we can share just some of the things that are fun to have in the hobby. I wanted to just take a quick look around the shop here and see some of the things we've done in the meantime. We've really made some progress here. We really have things organized, new desks. Every light now is fluorescent. If you look up, I have 10 fluorescent fixtures in here. I have them all through the bottom of the house. Really made some progress in that. I have some cans of Rust-Oleum today. I'm going to go out and start painting some things white. Ready to move into the next phase of having this shop operational. And what I'll do just in the beginning is run through a few of these photos real quick. And then, you know, if anybody would like to have, share some photos with us, obviously, we'll get them on the video for you. In fact, look, as we speak, I'm running off a tape here of somebody that had sent in some photos long ago, these nostalgia photos. Years from now, these photos are going to be priceless because nobody except a very few people really saves them. Joe Ortiz, I know, and Lampione have a nice collection, but it's really nice to have these photos. It's really nice when you can share them the way we do. I have photos all over the place. Photos actually are a big thing because a big part of the hobby, this is where you get your ideas for paint jobs and for some new designs, rudder shapes or whatever. The more things you can get, the more things you can say. We got some old pictures of the Red Baron up here. I love to have the photos, old motorcycle, and Derek Berry sent me this. Just love to have photos. These are from the old shop. Anybody doesn't know, this is an old window I had in the house or at the other house. Just nice having it. This is a real cold winter day, and I'm going to sit here and run through some of these photos for you before we start actually our project of the day. Just one quick note, anybody out there that doesn't know, my father was a member of the Suicide Legion, and this is one of the rare old pictures we have of him. They used to drive all these Evel Knievel stunts. Needless to say, he has long since passed away. Driving through burning barrels and driving backwards on old motorcycles and all kind of crazy stuff. So I guess this gives you a little idea of where my genes are and where I drew my gene pool from. Anyway, this is my dad. Some of the pictures I have of him are in a separate album, and he was into model planes very little and into risking his life an awful lot. So anyway, on with the video. Now today's project, we cleaned off the table, put a coat of white Rust-Oleum on everything. We have some of the drawers done. Again, what we're trying to do is get white Rust-Oleum, white, shiny white on everything. It opens everything up. We just want to get a little idea of, you know, the first coat is on here now. The more white you can have in a shop when it actually comes down to finishing, remember that combination, fluorescent lights and white. White Rust-Oleum is just a great thing to have a coat on. And we'll put the glass back on the table. This would be a, if you take a shop and you make it all white, you'll be surprised how much better your finishing gets right away. Doesn't take long. Hey, Vic Macaluso. Anyway, just to give you a little update on just how things are going here as we progress, and you can go back and look at the tape before this and see how many times you go back and forth before you get this stuff right. It doesn't happen instantly, and maybe that's the message here. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to work on this, get 2 coats of white Rust-Oleum. If you're going to paint anything, paint it all white Rust-Oleum. That's the ticket. Now you can see yesterday I got the one of the other dressers all painted up with white Rust-Oleum. Gonna work on this one today. Hopefully get the top of this one painted. Hopefully get the cabinet with all the videos painted and our other cabinet. And a lot of little miscellaneous stuff. I really would like to get over here, get this painted white. What I managed to do, I found a place, thank God, that sells gallons of Rust-Oleum. I was using quart after quart. I used about 6 quarts of white Rust-Oleum here. I even painted the top of this white. You can see how nice and clean it looks. And again, boy, I just can't emphasize enough just how much it helps to have things white. Back in here we got this guy painted white. Got some of the inside of this room painted white. The pegboard's all painted white. It's kind of a time consuming. Hey, nice picture of Midgley. Hey, Midgley, you're okay. Anyway, point here. We're going to start building real soon, and we don't want to be in a dungeon. We don't want to be in a cave or anything. We want to be where it's as nice and bright and clean. Got all the fluorescent lights up. Trying to get as much, again, as much white here as possible. That's the whole object of what we're doing. So, hope this information works out well for you and you can use it, put it to good use. And we'll take a look around here later when I get finished with this and see how it looks when everything is white. Now we're buried in white here. Rust-Oleum City, boy. We're just going crazy with Rust-Oleum. But we have something real neat to show you. Jim Damarell's here with his new biplane. So we're going to look at this gallon of Rust-Oleum. We're going to run up and take a look at his new biplane. He's got it upstairs. Alright, where's the biplane? Get the biplane. Beep, 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 beep. Turn the light on. Let's get the biplane out here. Oh my God. Look at this biplane. Hey, who's that ugly guy? Now this is what, Jim? You made this for the...
Yeah, we're still having fun in New Jersey, so this is...
By the way, Jim just volunteered to be president of the Steve Busso fan club.
We're having a biplane stunt at 2 or 3 of the contested circle burners next year, and maybe a few other places. So there's about 4 of these built right now in the club. There was 3 at the meeting last night.
This is your own design?
No, this is Dixon's. This is the 38 Special.
Oh, okay, okay.
Aviation a few months ago.
You didn't get to fly it today, huh?
Nah, it's still waiting for a push rod and a little bit of sanding and a gas tank. Venturi.
Never held me back before.
Going for the vertical performance. I put a 46 on it. That should...
Yeah. Put a 60 on it, man. Where's the tune pipe gonna go on this?
Actually, get it here and it goes right down here.
Twin pipes.
I already laid it out. We'll have a tune pipe biplane.
Hey, that looks cool. How much does it weigh? This is the one that's in the magazine that Tom published?
Yeah. This one's 35 right now.
Oh
so you figure a tank
light.
and a push rod, it's going to be about 38.
Yeah, it'd be 40. Yeah, 38, 40. 38, what a nice number.
It's called the 38 Special. I guess it fits.
Now, where do you balance this? So if the top wing or the bottom wing? Does it say?
The plans call for it to be at this top spar or at the leading edge of the bottom wing, but that's right about there. Right about where I got the bell crank pivot.
Yeah, we took it outside. It's kind of dark and dismal in the house right now. We don't have all the lighting finished. We don't have lights in every room. Super Tiger 46, eh?
Yeah, it's going to be a test ship for a few 46s. I want to see if they still run.
Boy, I tell you, that'd be a great plane for a VMAX. You could run the pipe right in between the wings. I know where you can get some VMAXs on sale cheap, too. And that Russian motor, even. Put that Russian motor in it. I ran that the other day.
And an airplane or on a stand?
No, on a test stand. I didn't butcher up one of the planes yet for it. Cool, nice looking plane.
It's got the clear on it, just a couple of quick swipes, but it needs to be sanded out.
Yeah, it looks cool though. Cool plane. Well, when I have that biplane event, we'll definitely get it on video. How many, did they build 3 of these last week?
There was 3 of them at the meeting. There's 3 other people that have these.
Costello's got one, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's got one. He switched the stagger around and made a Beechcraft stagger wing out of it.
Oh, really?
Big wingtips. He made a profile scale ship out of it, so it's a stunt and scale.
Yeah, cool.
That's sort of the idea on this too. We made the bell cranks removable so we can yank them out and put Roberts cranks in it and fly them with throttle. If they, once we don't fly stunt with them, we'll play touch and go.
Yeah.
We'll all become Augie and retire. And
I'm ready to retire right now. Retire from reality while you can. Yeah, it looks good, Jim. Look forward to seeing it. Look, you better get your hand on it. The wind's gonna blow it away.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it right in the truck.
Put it right in the truck. Back to Rust-Oleum City, down in the shop. Jimmy left, and I put all the moved the pictures around. You can see with all the white furniture now, we're getting a lot of good stuff, a lot of good light reflection here. This is painted white now. You can see the change here. Now, one of the things Jimmy brought over here, and I love this, he brought me a copy of the Vintage Meat, a little parody that they did on Windlass Kozlowski or whoever. Todd Lee's son, Todd Lee is the son, Jim Lee is the father. Anyway, they did a nice imitation of Windlass Urtnowski, and sponsored by Mike Cavell, I might add. And to show you the kind of respect you get in this, I'm going to share this with you. It only takes about 5 minutes.
Okay, right now we're going to have a little bit of fun, and then we're going to get real serious.
No.
And it's going to kind of go like that all night long. When I say serious, I don't mean we're going to talk about rules or any politics or any of that crap. We're going to get real serious. Yeah, we can get serious. You and I are going to get fun. Then the others are going to get serious. Yeah, that's it. For several years, I've been writing these little blurbs about this mythical character, and been kind of wishing that he would show up here at the Vintage Meat. For one reason or another, until tonight, he's never been able to join us. But here he is, and we're going to have a little chat with him. He can tell you about life back east. And I'd like you to meet Windlass Unknownski from Large Barge, New Jersey. There it is. Yeah. Tell us what you've been doing there, Windlass.
Well, you know, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Windlass Unknownski. I'm from Large Barge, New Jersey. Thank you. It's a great state. I love it. And lately I've been making this Nobler video and building a new stunt ship, you know. Why does he call them stunt ships anyway?
I'm not really sure about that. Ships?
Do they really get that heavy?
Maybe, yeah. Well, I noticed the one that you had out here the other day, you were still finishing. You were putting some special finishing. I'm not sure how you get that high gloss on these. Could you tell us about that?
Well, you see, Mike, that's all Sig dope, you know? It's got the real high gloss on it. You gotta polish it really hard. You gotta polish it. Polish it. And you take this great stuff after you got the rubbing compound, right? And you take it, it comes in a little can, pink shit, you know?
And what is that called?
It's, oh, sorry.
Mom's gonna hear about that, yeah. What is that pink stuff called?
That would be the Gorham Silver Polish. You've heard of it before, right?
Gorham's Silver Polish? Did I say that correctly?
No, listen to me. It's Gorham's Silver Polish. Silver Polish, okay? So I have to say it again.
Oh, really? When I saw you applying it, it was on that area directly behind the cockpit, the curved area. Tell us about that.
So you'll be talking about the part where the pilot sits in the cockpit and goes back to the rudder?
Yes.
Yeah, so that'd be the turtle deck, right? Yeah, the turtle deck, okay. So, you know, I was building this Nobler, you know, I'm working on it really hard, you know, watching Saturday Night Live and all that stuff. It's just rock, that's okay, but Joyce's better. So I'm sanding it really smooth, working on the turtle deck, and it's just coming out beautiful, just beautiful. You know, sanding it smooth on the turtle deck, it was wonderful.
Have you ever considered instructing any of us on how to do this, say perhaps with a video?
Like I said, I'm making the Nobler video. It'll be available to everybody. $19.95, and you order now, I'll give you a free can of Gorham Silver Polish.
Can't be the deal like that. Don't you go away, because we have a little something for you, Windlass. But what do you think about Windlass Unknownski here? Find it. Stand over there. In case you just don't know, I'm originally from Jersey myself, so I understood everything he said. That was obviously a fairly decent acting job. And most actors, they work in Hollywood, wherever, out near Jerry Silver's place, and they get things called Oscars. You know, we don't have an Oscar for Todd. However, we do have something that might light him up here a little bit tonight. We have...
All right, I hope you enjoyed that little parody. And I understand that Jim Lee is suing me for child support now and claiming that I'm the father of his child, that I got him pregnant. I don't know. Anyway, I found a couple good buys I want to pass on to you. These are these assemble-it-yourself shop lights, which I went out and bought 4 of them so far. And I'm going to replace them in various parts of the shop. You have to assemble it yourself. It's really not a big deal to assemble. It takes about 5 minutes. But they're $6 a piece, and that's real handy. You can afford, at that price, you can afford to light up the whole world like a Christmas tree. And while I was out shopping the other day, I wanted to mention this. I got another, and this is a real super heavy duty. I got this at a Kmart. This was $9 for this giant piece of egg crate foam. And when we go to the field, obviously you can roll this up and you can use it for you can lay on it yourself instead of laying in the grass and having the bugs crawl up your behind. What it's real helpful for is when we have a plane that we want to work on one of these guys at the field, or to put right up on our workbench here. We can use it up on the workbench. And for the amount of money it is, it's just really worth having. Or for storing it, I even thought of this, for putting this in the van, just for storing planes in the van. Because there's these little cups, like egg hole cups, the wheels will fit in here and the plane won't roll around. So just another great tip, something for a couple of bucks you can make your life real happy. And now that I have all this white paint in the shop, I have everything painted white, and boy, I'll tell you, this shop is really shaping up. And I know it's dragged on, but I really have enjoyed doing it. It really has made my life a lot happier having this amount of work. I'm able to get things done a lot more expediently, and this is just another good tip. Now, this is an amazing day for me, and I just want to share this with you. It'll only take a minute. Yesterday we finished up the last of the work on a two-family house, moved all the tools over to the big house, the new house, and we absolutely right now are heading down the home stretch to finishing this renovation project. Today we're going to go down to Joe K's and mold up some line reels. Kevin's got the molding machine all set up. This is a Sunday. We've been working 7 days a week, pretty much around the clock, and I'll apologize to anybody who's tried to get a hold of me and had trouble doing that. We really have had a tough time in the past. It's been since March 15th. This is just before Christmas, and these 7-day-a-week, 14-hour days have really caught up with me, that's for sure. So, accept my apology if you haven't been able to get a hold of me for whatever reason, even just to chit-chat. Anyway, down here, anybody that has never seen a molding machine in operation, it'll be interesting. I'll try to shoot a little video of how we make the line reels, show you what the tooling that's involved. We're talking about $5,000 worth of tooling, so that the event can have big line reels to store your solid lines on or whatever. Another thing that might or might not be interesting, we're going to talk to Joe K today and get his opinion and his advice. We want to make up a wing jig, and I'll go into that in detail later on in this video, what our plan is. We've made a pretty firm plan now of what we're going to do for the 94 plane. As of right now, it's going to be that we're going to build a Pattern Master wing, a built-up wing in a foam jig. And I'll explain this later, kind of like the Bobby Hunt system, but not exactly. We've done this before with a Nobler wing and it worked well, but we want to improve on it. And what we want to try to do is make a permanent jig now. So we're going to talk to Joe K about it. That's his area of expertise. And one of the things I always believe in, and I believe in it 100%, is when you need information, you go to the best possible person, the most knowledgeable person. In case of motors, that's Jim Greenaway, aerodynamics, tanks, whatever, Jim Greenaway. In case you need to know about Teflon or canopies, call Midgley. You need to know about paint, call me. You need to know about anything machine shop oriented, tooling, die work, whatever. We're going to go see Joe K. Anyway, we'll pick this up at his shop. It's a long ride down here now. It's kind of a pain in the neck, but something we have to do to get the best possible person to contribute to our program. We're just going to have to pay the price. Now we're down at Joe K's shop. This is actually this is the room that we use to make the line reels we're going to try to show. The plastic goes in this end as pellets, little pellets that are preheated, and a screw mechanism. Let's kind of walk over here and see how this is working. Now Gerard is just running some plastic through here. Obviously it's at the, what's the melting point of this plastic, Joe? That's the accurate temperature.
We're running between
between 380 and 415. We have 4 separate zones of heat. That's why I don't want to.
Now, if you've never seen an injection molding machine, this might be interesting. If you've seen it or worked on it, it isn't that interesting. Boy, look at all these planes up here. Geez, I feel like I'm in the Air Force Museum. Uh-oh. First reel of the day, sticking in the mold. That never happens to me, G.
You should be running it then.
I got a feeling I'm going to be running it the rest of the day. There it is. Okay, now the first one until I get the... Yes, exactly. This is the one we're going to sell to Jimmy Casale. There's his line reel. Jeff, there's your line reel right down there.
Poor Jimmy.
Poor Jimmy isn't even in the hobby anymore and they harass him. Anyway, let's see a good one being made now. And you can see the cycle of the machine takes whatever the predetermined amount of time. This is why you have a specialist like Gerard setting it up instead of Windy. Then once it's set up to run and it's idiot-proof and monkey-proof, they give Windy the steering wheel and they let him drive all day. Ah, almost a better one.
You gotta run a few of them then.
Oh, another one for Casale. Boy, this one's great. Yeah, okay. Don't think everything is all cut and dry here. This is why you have a trained expert like Gerard on the job. Who set this up, Kevin or Gerard?
Kevin.
Kevin, blame Kevin, he's not even here, right? Oh, man. Anyway, if you see this, this is how you go through this over and over until you get the amount of material going in the mold just right. This is why at the end of the day I'll have calluses on my fingertips emptying this machine out. But it's worth it. So that you people out there in Stuntland can have an unlimited supply of big line reels instead of Sullivan. We get a good one, G?
Yeah, it's getting there though.
Oh, look at this.
1 or 2 more shots.
Yeah, she'll come out. All right, but if you've never seen this, if you work in an office, or if you work like Stifle where you don't do anything at all, well, it's okay.
You don't have to keep wrestling with this after a while, do you? No.
Once it's set, I'll just take over and then we'll just get it idiot-proof for me.
If you gotta take off.
I gotta take off. I'll see you later.
Okay, G. G's so sick of this, but they have to get it to where it's running just right before I take over. Oh, look at this. Unbelievable. So when you see a line reel and you're using that nice big line reel to wind your lines in, just think of what I have to go through down here, the harassment I have to put up with. Silicone, Joe?
I hope.
Silicone to mold. Looks like we're closing in on having line reels here. We close or no cigar yet?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay.
What we have is a cold mold.
Okay.
And if I up the pressures too much, then
Yeah, we've been all through this already.
we'll stress the parts too much.
Anyway, it is interesting seeing how the belt cranks get made on the same machine with a different material, of course, glass nylon, the line reel guides. And you go through the same thing until you get everything just right till the machine is all set. Getting there. Oh, sneaking up on it.
Increase the injection pressure. And as the mold warms up and comes to operating cycle temperature, then I'll have to decrease it.
Oh, almost have a good one here. Almost have a good one. Okay, there's a good one, a complete one. So you want me to get a box for these, Joe?
Yeah, Wendy.
All right. Let me get a box so we can start stacking them up. Okay, we're starting to get good parts out of the mold. Obviously, the next step is going to be to glue two halves together. We'll be doing it back at the shop at Elliott Paints. We're just about ready to take over from Joe here. I hope you didn't mind watching how we do this. When you pick up that line, just think of what goes into it. You don't jump out of a hole in a wall, that's for sure.
Staten Island bridges are in pretty good shape right now, and no reels on New Jersey Transit trains. That's New Jersey traffic, sponsored by Merritt Gasoline Stations. At Merritt Gasoline Stations, you'll save up to 5 cents per gallon on the highest quality gasoline with guaranteed octane levels of 87, 89, and 93. Merritt Gasoline Stations are always scheduled for I'm Steve Michaels, and New Jersey fast traffic at 12.
There it is, baby.
Jersey 101. New Jersey.
Now you can see we've been busy for the last couple of hours here. This is not going right along. We're going to be looking at about a 12 or a 14-hour shift here. But it's all in good faith here. Good for the line reel community of the world. Here's what the material looks like that we make line reels from. It's little plastic pellets. Well, we just got back from Joe K's. Obviously, it's very late at night. And the next step is we're going to glue the line reels, assemble them. We'll just take the first of many boxes that we made. I want to just show one of these on video. If you ever have one of these come apart, you can use CA. CA is a good way to put them together, but there's a better way. It's MEK. MEK, and I have a little bottle with a needle on it. Now what this does, MEK melts the plastic much like model plane cement. And what I do is I have a little fixture that puts the reels together. It holds them in alignment. If you ever step on one or break it out at the field, you know, you can repair it this way. If, let's say for instance, you leave it out in the grass, it's a nice bright color orange, like Paul Walker's plane. And so what happens now, I have the both halves on a fixture, and I can just run a little bit of cement down the bead on one side, let that set. And this is really a board. We made over 500 reels, so that's 1,000 individual strokes at a press. You just hold a little pressure on it, take the fixture out. Now I try to ship the line reels with the piece right in place, because if you lay it up here it falls off in shipping or it dents something else up. And what I usually do is go right around the inside with a little bit of the cement. Right around here. If you ever have one come apart, obviously I'll fix it for you or whatever, or just replace it. Don't even send it back, in fact. Good old Pro Stunt warranty. Anyway, now you have a line reel. So having seen how we injection mold them, and having seen maybe how we're going to assemble some of these, maybe you'll have a little appreciation of, we sell an awful lot of these, and we're the only one on the planet that sells them and makes them. So it's an item I feel is worth a little bit of knowledge of how it was made, how it was designed, why it's this color orange, bright pink, whatever you want to call it. And never, never, never under any conditions. I mean, even if your wife insists on it, don't ever put solid lines on short reels. Don't ever put any lines on short reels. It's a terrible thing when they kink at the end. and you lose a plane, or you find out your friend lost a plane, and you say, gee, I could have prevented that. So anyway, just a little bit of information on line reels. We're going to sit down and assemble a whole box of them, I hope, real soon. I just wanted to give you a little idea of what goes into making a line reel. Maybe you'll have a little better appreciation of it. You can see how many more of these I have to do, and obviously there's 5 other boxes like that out in the truck. Anyway, one of the things when I try to do repetitive, and this is just a thought, when I try to do repetitive, redundant work like this, one of the things I try to do is, yes, you got it right, go put a video on and watch some video. In this case, this is a picture of me, myself, and I flying at the circle burner contest. So there's the old tweener. Anyway, if you have that, and you have, where in the case we have Karen's old stereo up here, but we have a little bit of entertainment going while you're doing these boring, redundant jobs. It's a big help. Same with wet sanding, same with sanding, period. Just having some redundant job that you have to do over and over and over again. A little bit of TV, a little bit of music, a little bit of something here, a well-lit room. And we don't even have water on the floor anymore. Anyway, have some nice pictures around for inspiration. All the things I talked about back in the old days when we were making the shop video of how we built the shop. Well, we're geared up, we're ready to roll here, and we're doing our production. We did have a real good talk with Joe Kay about exactly how we're going to do our wing jig for this year's wing. And I'll try to describe that later on in the video. I have to finish my line reels up first. And we also have to do today's mail. We have an awful lot of mail down here to do. So we'll get down there and see if we have some pictures of some new ships in the mail. Now, having gone through too many of these line reels anyway, I want to go over this. This came in today's mail. This is from Stephen Hogue, and I'll just read this caption real cute. I've enclosed a picture of one of my Hogue stick airplanes. It looks like junk, but they really fly great. My grandfather designed the plane in 1946. The plane can withstand some amazing crashes because the body is solid oak. I guess Midgley ought to make his body out of solid oak too. If someone is learning to fly the pattern, this thing can save a lot of building time. The wing area is 530 inches. All my flying's done at 5,300 feet above sea level. Consequently, it means I need a strong 46 to make this size plane work. It's not pro stunt, but you can build it in a very short amount of time. Stephen. Anyway, nice picture, nice idea too. The solid oak body. Now, I have a few people I can suggest using a solid oak body. I won't do it on video though. Dave will be mad at me. Tell Campbell to make his body out of solid, make his tune pipe out of solid oak too. And these are a couple pictures from, I don't know, if you go back in the videos a while, you'll know Frank Pascovich is the one that started the whole trend toward, at least I'll give him the credit, toward using light taping compound for fillets. And he sent along this picture of what looks like a modified T-bird. He calls it the Seahawk, which is short for chicken hawk. Now I won't read Frank's letter. His letter is so long that take up half the video. But anyway, basically says he used all the videos, finishing videos, whatnot, to upgrade his finishing skills. And he really does like this plane. He says it's a Hummer. And another neat thing about Frank, now I've never met Frank personally, but we've exchanged some gifts over the mail. I've sent him some videos and some trinkets and tidbits and whatever, Vico spinner tips, I don't even remember. And every time he sends a letter, he sends me some construction stuff. He knows I'm doing construction and renovation on my house. And hey, start sending it to Paul Walker too, Frank. He's putting an extension on his house. Now this is one I really like. This is Lowell Reinhardt in Iowa, and he sent along these really nice photos. This he's built from a Cardinal kit. It looks like he's done a real nice copy of the original plane here. Just to mention one thing, I noticed he's got the gear in the body and these little tiny exhaust outlet holes. Pro Stunt muffler, a chrome spinner. Nice cowling. I like this shape. Midgley, pay attention. Come up with something like this yourself. No more demon dogs. And Walt Russell's paint job just blew me away. I mean, Walt Russell's unbelievable. I wish he'd send me some 8x10s of that plane. And send, Walt, if you're reading this, send some to Midgley too. He loves your paint job. He's trying to steal it. Anyway, he put a little thanks to Pro Stunt Products here and a little bird head and stuff. So, real nice. What else did I say? The canopy's been modified a little bit, and it looks like he's done a real nice finish job. Again, I don't know what to say. I'm starting to get a nice album full of Cardinal 51 kit pictures here, so keep sending them in, guys. Appreciate it a whole lot. Now, there's a picture from Gary Hetrick. This is really unusual. He took a twister here and made it look like a T-34 Mentor. I'm just looking over his letter here, real nice. He got some wins out in Topeka and Omaha. I say he's really getting into it now. Getting serious about stunt. Well, let's hope Midgley gets serious about stunt real soon too. Anyway, nice picture, very unusual, kind of cool. Now I just have to show this over and over again. I just love this paint job. Midgley, eat your heart out if you don't come up with something really cool. If that isn't a great paint job, I don't know what is. Walt, if I would have thought of this first, I would have charged you for this paint job. I think this is just a super, super paint job. I hope I'm going to have more pictures of this soon too. Walt Russell from Washington. Now, talk about cool old pictures. I had Jim Damerel was here yesterday for the whole day, and he went digging through my old albums and took out all the pictures for me, so we'll run through a few of these right now that have special meaning to me. This is the Executioner, of course. I had molded my own carbon. This is a molded carbon fiber spinner, and I had these real nice spats. If you can't really see it here, but the wheels are inside the spats. They have a thickness to them, and they taper down so that those little needle nose wheels stick out the bottom. I know Walt Prey likes this plane. I know Midgley likes it. Hey, I liked it. What am I talking about? Like the paint job. Borelli loves the paint job. He stole a paint job from me. There's a nice nose section shot of this is one of the planes I made, the PMs that had like a pattern master body. Jim used to call this King Arthur. That was his nickname for this plane. Anyway, I wound up giving this plane to Stifel, and he wound up wrecking it. Just shows you what happens when you give things to Stifel. Sorry, Jeff. Ah, sorry nothing. You deserve it. And believe it or not, this is one of the pictures I'm saving. This is a picture of Paul Walker, who had just mooned the camera, and I got the picture that comes right before this. Now, one of these days, Paul, you know, when I have some respect for your flying ability, and when I start to think you're a cool guy, I'm going to give you the picture that came just before this, and I'll present it to you at the banquet. In fact, I'll let Bruce Gifford give it to you. He's big on moonshots. Anyway, we'll for now. My video is not X-rated, Paul, so I'll save the best for this year at Lubbock when I will present you with an 8x10 of the picture that comes just before this. Believe me, I will. In fact, I'll let Busso give it to you. He's giving it to me right now. I ought to give it to you. Ah, great picture. Cool guy, Paul. Here's a really good picture of Paul receiving the Walker Cup here. Now, there's a long story. This is in Reno, Nevada. There's a long story here that Doug Figgs actually had an empty wine bottle. And this isn't champagne, but it's a liquid that champagne becomes about an hour after you drink it. And Paul said, "Bah, this stuff stinks. Oh, this isn't champagne. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, Jesus, I'm the Walker Cup champion." Paul, I don't know what to tell you, but Figgs said, "I don't know. You know, we saved that money on champagne." Anyway, enough razzing Paul Walker anyway. Oh, this old album was loaded up. These are all the pictures Damerel took out of the album. Loaded up pictures of the execution. This is breaking my heart. Unbelievable. This is what happens when you don't change a baby's diaper on time. Now that was mean what they did to Paul. Is they let him drink it too. They didn't even tell him. Paul, it wasn't champagne, trust me. Now I can just hear Paul now. "Boy, you guys got some sense of humor. First you cut out the Pizza Hut doll and glue it to the Walker Cup in 90 92, and then you don't give me any respect. You don't even buy real champagne for the Walker Cup fly-off. Huh, I'll fix you. I'll just go out and be the world champion 10 times in a row. Paul, these guys are mean. I'm telling you, I'm the only one in this whole world that respects you. It's terrible. Now there we are. There's the real Paul Walker. No kidding around now. No more dumping things on him, making him drink them and stuff. No more. World champion, Paul Walker. Now Bill Rich will remember this. This is Lincoln, Nebraska, and Bill Rich broke 3 tail wheels in a row. This is before Bill learned about wire. And not to overbend it and bend it back or whatever Bill was doing. We don't know. Mike tried to help him. I tried to help him. He was just going crazy. Every time he'd land, he'd break the tail wheel wire. So, funny enough, even Bob Gildini was in the room that day and tried to help him. And even Bob Gildini couldn't figure out a way to keep him from breaking the tail wheel wire. Unbelievable. And there's one of my personal favorite planes of all time, Relentless. Boy, Stifel crashed this plane, by the way. This is one that Jeff put in. Not telling any tales. He almost hit me with the motor, but check those flaps and elevators and rudder and everything all built up in tissue and buffed, and oh my God, anodized spinner and everything. Unreal. Anyway, still one of my favorites. Another picture of it. These were all in the old album when Damarel was here. Boy, if there ever was a prettier plane than this, I don't know about it. All pictures from that old album. That's the '86 album. I'll tell you, I really look back at that with some pride, knowing that was just one of my best efforts, I think, buffing that out. Nice picture of the canopy. Anyway, we're going to get on to our next topic here, and I hope you've enjoyed a couple of the pictures, the male, the old pictures, making fun of Paul Walker. Whatever. Paul, we apologize. We mean every minute of it. Just want to run this blurb in here for anybody receiving the videos, the 30 or so people. Please use the new address. Don't use Pro Stunt products. Use Windy Ertnowski, 93 Elliott Place, Rutherford, New Jersey, 07070. New phone number. Both phones, the old one and the new one, both ring in the shop here now, and they will for the next year or so. But please, if you can, try to use the new address. It saves me a day or so in having the mail forwarded over here. Just a note here. Now I just want to talk about, and this was the primary topic of discussion for about 6 of the hours that I was down by Joe Kay's Molden Line Reels. I want to make a wing jig. Now I'm going to try a method that's relatively new for me. I've only built one wing this way in the past. Bobby Hunt's built several, so I'll try to borrow some of his technology. But I really want to do this in my own way, and I really like to just run through this real quick so you understand what we're doing. Now what I did, when I went down to Joe Kay's, let's just get this straight now so some of this technology is what I expect to get from Joe Kay is an idea or a platform that's perfectly, boy, I'm getting to be a good artist here. Anyway, a perfectly flat platform that's about 65 inches by 12 inches. That'll be the biggest wing that I'll ever make. Now it's this platform, it's making the platform right now that's holding up production of this wing jig, because we have several options here. One of the options that we wanted to try to do was to use our own glass table. Well, our own glass table is not, we've moved it into a new floor, it's on a different environment now, and it isn't as true as it was before, so the glass table is kind of like in second place now. We also checked out what it would cost to get a real hardwood door, and this would be 1.5 inches, whatever kind of hardwood. It's made like a butcher block, similar to a butcher block table, and carpenters use it where the grain is going one way, the other way, and then chuck this into a mill and fly cut one surface perfectly flat. What we're really looking for is a perfectly flat surface to start building our wing jig on. Now that was one of the other choices. Joe Kay had suggested that some of the things that were out were they have aluminum channel. It's really a C channel, the aluminum, and we checked out. That's out because of the price and because it's just not accurate enough at the length and width that we need. That the best possible way, we might even consider buying a butcher block table and running a fly cutter on it. again, another thought that had come up in the discussion, and I'm just running through the thoughts, was to get a Luan door, which is relatively, that's always the word, accurate, and then glue a piece of glass on one side, flip it over, glue a piece of glass on the other side, and epoxy the glass to the table. So now we had a sandwich of glass, Luan, and glass. Haven't talked about all the options. That's where we're sitting right now. As of today, Joe K is going to research out all these things. Obviously, as money is no object, you can buy a machinist table. It probably cost upwards of $1,000. That's out because of price. We're not looking to spend enough money that we could buy a car here. But anyway, one of the ideas that we want to wind up with, and this is going to be hopefully the ultimate result here, is we're going to wind up with a flat table. A base. So let's just call this the base. We're going to wind up with some piece of glass on top of it, and we have the glass, and we can cut our own glass, so that's not a problem. We want to join it together with epoxy, overnight drying epoxy, so it now becomes really rigid, really strong, and most of all accurate. Then we want to shim it up until it's perfectly accurate. Then we want to take a foam wing core, the bottom half of the core, and glue that with rubber cement. This joint here is going to have to be, unless we change our reasoning, rubber cement, so that we can remove the core and put on another core. And we'll obviously, when we put that in, we'll put the wing in, the foam wing in, and this, press it down overnight so we get a nice flat joint. Then we'll reference from the glass to the center line, glass to the center line, both sides, make sure the fixture is perfectly true. Then we'll take the foam part of the wing out, the root and the tip, and sandwich in our 16 or 15 ribs, whatever we're going to do on this year's wing. Cut a stack of ribs, lay them all in here so that from the top view now, let me just mention, this is pretty similar to what Bobby Hunt is doing, except Bobby Hunt's doing geodetic ribs. Another thought would be to do X ribs. That would be more rigid, but I don't like the way it looks. The looks are what I'm after here. So I think a standard wing, I can then put little blocks where maybe I can just drop my ribs right down into these foam blocks, line everything up, put the spars on top and bottom, front and back, check the accuracy all around. When everything's accurate, hot stuff it right in and make a panel. Then the second choice is I'm going to make, the two panels at once and be able to join my spars, put the sheeting on while it's right in the cradle. Again, these are just thoughts we're having. And we're going to finalize this. I just want to, present it at this time with Joe K. We're thinking of different ways we can do this. So we could take the core off and say put on a Nobler core and still use the same base. We wouldn't have to make another base. This is where we stand right now. And just remember, for whatever the reason was here, let's get a new piece of paper here. The original way we used to make the ribs, and we have this documented on video, the rod method where you stack them. It's on the wing construction video. That's a way that I've shown on video, the rod method. The method where we build right off the table, that's on the 92 set of videos. You build it into a leading and trailing edge piece that's glued to the table. This is the whatever we're going to call this method. The beam method, for lack of a better word. That's on the 92. The ship that's called the Harley is built that way. The rod method is the original Big Cardinal. And now we hope we've documented another way. Midgley has the fixture for putting the rods now. He sent them out to me. So we'll have another method of rod. That's another method similar to the original one we had. And now we hope we're going to be able to document and get it for you on video, the cradle method. And let's give Bobby Hunt all the credit that he deserves. He pioneered some of this in his one of the shop videos. He had this, one of the not the shop video, the stunt form video. But what I want to do is make my own method. I don't want to make a geodetic rib wing at this time. I'd like to make a normal type of wing, at least as of right now. And I'd like to be able to build it in a cradle, turn it over, put it back in a cradle, reference off all my center lines down to the glass. And again, this is the way you do this. As of right now, this is one of the things, and possibly next year, no guarantee, but 1 year coming up real soon, we're going to trying to do on video the I-beam method. We don't have that documented yet. The reason for building planes all these different ways, and there's a million different ways to build planes, let's get real about this. No matter which method you use, you can build a crooked wing, you can build a straight one, you can build it fast, you can build it slow. But if you've seen the video on each different way of building a wing, you'll then have the best of all possible choices for figuring out how you want to build your wing. And last but not least, a couple of years ago, I wrote a column. It was a lot of years ago, a column for flying models called the Indianapolis Approach, and that basically was ideas that were given to me and discussed with Jim Greenaway about how to approach building a plane. Now, when it came to building a wing jig, I sought out Joe Kay. The reason Joe Kay spends his whole life in a world of precision, 10,000ths, very accurate work, very methodical workmanship. So I wanted him to give me his best thoughts on a wing jig. When it comes to motors, I always feel that the best man around is Big Jim. Now, what I'm trying to show here is I sure wouldn't call Joe Kay up and ask him to give me some ideas about motors, even though he may have some knowledge of that. And Big Jim may have some good ideas about wing jigs, but I want to keep each person in the area of their expertise. And when it comes to finish, well, hey, old Windy, you know, that old dirtbag, he can give you some good ideas, give you where the pitfalls are and whatever when it comes to finish. But you don't want Windy getting into other areas, you know, like skincare and stuff like that. You know, what we want to do is keep a person in their area of expertise and in the things they do the best. Okay? When it came to plans, I needed plans drawn up for the Cardinal and the Cardinal kit. Steve Busso, even though we don't see eye to eye on everything, he is the best at plans that I know of. So I went to him. The point I'm making here, a foam wing core. If I'm doing a PM, I go to Big Jim. If you're going to do let's say an SV11, well, go to Randy. What's the sense of calling Big Jim up and asking him about SV11 technology? What's the sense of calling Randy and asking him about Pattern Master technology? What I'm trying to get at, the Indianapolis Approach. Try to make a list of the people that do what they do best, and then stick to their opinion in that area. Don't ask them to cross over into other areas. Don't go to your dentist and ask him to wax your car. Don't go to your wife and have her drill a hole in aluminum. I mean, stick to what people do best. And if you do that, that's always been what I call the Indianapolis Approach, and Big Jim has called the Indianapolis Approach. Stick to what you do best. Gather the best parts you can from all over the planet, put them together, and you'll have a hell of an airplane. If you gather the worst of all worlds, I mean, don't call up Big Jim and have him give you some finish technology, because the plane is not going to look, it's not going to look like Paul Walker's. And on the other hand, the things that he does know best, listen to him heart and soul. That's my opinion. That's how I feel. As of right now, I'm trying to put together the first part of this Indianapolis Approach for the new airplane. Obviously, we'll be using a Super Tiger 60 in the new plane. We're not going to go deviating from plan anymore. You know, we've had enough experiments, we've had enough fun, we've had enough headaches. We're going to stick with the Super Tiger 60. We're going to go with the Big Jim package. We're going to have Joe do the wing jig. This is all starting to gel up now. If plans do get drawn for this new design, it's going to be a Busso, I hope. It'll have a windy finish on it. It'll be real nice, we hope. If I do decide, I will get the foam wing cradle from Scott Smith, so I can make the fixture up and whatnot. So these are all things just to keep in mind. It's called the Indianapolis Approach. It's a good way to deal with the hobby. Every year around this time, what I like to do is go through my airplanes pick out the ones that need maintenance or modifications or things that I want to try for next year. And so before I actually start a construction project and start working on that wing jig that I intend to use, I'm going to start doing a little bit of the things that I want to do to prepare these, I guess let's call it an Air Force for lack of a better word. Try to get some of this stuff ready for next year. And we've made a list of what we want to try, what we want to do. And the first thing on that list is I want to get the old Red Baron out and put a Super Tiger 60 back in. Take the VMAX out. We've done our experimenting with the VMAX, and for sure it isn't going to be as good as the Super Tiger 60 that we had in here. So we have a new motor from Jim that just got in here today, and we're ready to pop it in. We also have a brand new muffler that Billy Suarez sent down, which we're going to try too. So with that in mind, let's get the old Red Baron out of hiding here. Now what my conclusion was with a whole season of flying this with a VMAX, don't forget I did have some flying with a 51, and my conclusion from looking at all my notes and talking with Big Jim is we're going to go back to using a Super Tiger 60 with either a barrel or a tongue muffler and a low pitch prop, and we're going to try to do some more development on this guy. This guy certainly isn't finished. His life isn't over yet, that's for sure. And now he's kind of needing a little bit of a wax job, a little bit of a paint job, and a motor changeover, and that's one of the things we're going to be working on next here. I think the first thing I like to do is go around, look around, any little stress cracks or any little things. There was a couple up here we want to kind of clean up. Things we might want to work on here. I noticed we got a big scratch, a big gouge. Somebody put their fingernail in over here. Looks like we could use a new tail wheel. But most of all, the biggest part of this job is going to be, I'll get out some Gorham silver polish, go over the whole finish again, look around. There's another spot up here. Some of the touch-up, looks like it's a little overdue for a touch-up here, in fact. And I think next year we're going to get to do some more flying with this guy. I think his life is anything but over. And maybe you haven't seen the last of the Red Baron. So with that in mind, let me get Jim's new motor out. Let's get that old motor out and start working on it. Now remember the last time we flew this last season, we had the old 46 VMAX, the Enya plug, the modified header, and the smaller pipe, the thin pipe in here. This is all going to come out, and what we're going to do is seal the bottom back up, seal the scoop back up, get this all back to the way it was. And again, it just brings up one other point, is once you make a modification to a plane like this is a real important point. Once you make a modification, you change over to a tune pipe, don't be afraid to put it back the way it was. If possible, save all the parts. Like Tradition, we're going to be sealing up the bottom of Tradition. I think his tune pipe days are over too. But don't be afraid, just as you shouldn't be afraid to cut into a plane, you shouldn't be afraid to put it back the way it was. So in this case, we're going to be starting on this today. Try to get whatever we don't finish tonight, we'll work on tomorrow. Try to get the old Super Tiger 60 back in action here. Now this is what's always nice about keeping things organized. We just reach into our box here. We have a whole box of Super Tiger 60 motors, mufflers, and spare fuel tanks. So we can get our package together, we'll take out our notes, and we can put this right back to the way it was before we started experimenting with the VMAX. This is why I suggest everybody keep their stuff kind of organized. Now I have each motor marked as to which ship it was in, how much fuel it was using the last time we flew it. You can see all the notes that are on each package. Each engine is in a plastic bag the way it should be. We have the spare head and the head that belongs on the motor with each package. So what we're going to do is line up all the motors here. This is a brand new one, it's never been run. That was a spare. I should have Midgley's spare here, in fact. So I'll get all the motors lined up. That's the first step before we even pull out the old stuff. We got this old guy here still in position. So step one is we're gonna, rather than use it, in fact, what we'll do is we'll save the new motor. We won't even run the new one until we break it in. I'll put the old one in a plane, get some flying on the old one, get back into 60 mode here. And now here's just a couple of thoughts I want to put forward right now. This is about the time of year, anyway, that we all start to build. And if you are going to build a new plane, and you lay out, now this is really an accurate drawing, and you will lay out the motor mounts so that this dimension here fits a Super Tiger 60. Now even if you don't plan on using a Super Tiger 60, let me explain this. This dimension between the mounts here is a critical dimension when you're building up a new plane. And I want to explain what my philosophy was in this. I always make the fuselage crutch, put the blind nuts in on the bottom. And what I do is I use a Super Tiger 60, so from the front view, and the Red Baron and Tradition, all of these airplanes have the mounts spaced so a Super Tiger 60 fits right in here. Now, the advantage of this is, supposing somewhere down the road you're building this airplane and you anticipate it's going to come out to weigh 60 ounces, but oh no, you put on the Lampion finish and it comes out 70 ounces. Well, if you have a Super Tiger 60 in it, it's probably not going to be a problem. When you get into the 60 to 70 ounce range, we're down here, a 40 is real nice, around 60 ounces. But as you get the weight up and up and up, it's nice to have the option of putting in a 60. Now, Bob Lampion found this out last year. He put in a 51, of course. He started out thinking his plane was going to weigh about 60 ounces, and, well, it didn't really come out that way. It was in the low 70s, and he wound up with a 51. But what happens if you build the crutch and you build the mounts, again, I'll just make the drawing, with this spacing and Super Tiger 60 spacing on the bolts. Now you can put in a Super Tiger 60, obviously, right in. You can elongate the holes in the motor and get any variable offset in there that you need. You can then take a 51, and to put a 51 where a 60 goes, let's just pretend this is the 51. You have to move with a Dremel tool, move the holes all the way out to the corner, elongate the holes so they look kind of like this. But it still can be done without a problem. You can then put a 51 in. Supposing the plane is really super nose heavy and you want to get a little more corner, you can go from a 60 to a 51. Run a smaller diameter prop, more corner, whatever. But as you get up into the high 60s and low 70s, and obviously beyond, nothing takes the place of a 60. Now in the case of the Red Baron, another advantage, if you decide you want to go tune pipe, a VMAX fits right in where a 60 was. You can then elongate the holes a little bit, same as a 51, and almost everything will line up, except you'll have to do a gut job, and you've seen how we've done this on several videos for the rear exhaust. But if you start the whole thing out, and the Red Baron Tradition will all have this, if you space the mounts so that a Super Tiger 60 fits in there, if you're home free all, you can put any motor you want in there. Now, if you build a plane around a 51, if you put the mounts closer together and you make it for a 51, what happens? You have to, let's do this. You have to cut this part of the motor mount away and get the bolt way out here. It's a tough job to make the plane wider. It's almost impossible to get a good motor run when you chop this much of the mount away. But if you start out making it for a 60, you can put any motor you want in. Now it may sound like that's not a big consideration. I'm going to use a 51 anywhere. I'm going to go with a tune pipe or what. But believe me, every plane in the world starts out to be 60 ounces or less. And then somehow they all manage to go, I'll put a little more paint, I'll put a canopy, put wheel pants, and before you know it, they're up around 70. The reality of the whole thing is they get closer to 70 than 60. And then if you're not comfortable with the tune pipe, if you're not comfortable with the idea of doing a lot of maintenance and work on it, whatever the options are, you always have that option to just exactly what we're going to do right now to several of these ships is retrofit them all with 60s. And luckily they've all been made with a 60 in mind, so retrofitting these planes will not be a big problem. I'm also going to try to show on this how to get a nice repair, a reasonable repair on we're going to have to patch the bottom of the plane up here, but how to get a nice patch job on it. So, if you just hang tough with us, we're going to go back today, do some work on the Red Baron, try to do a patch job, get the 60 in, and put him back basically to where he was, let's see, 2 summers ago. Now, usually when it comes to motor decisions, I usually try to check in with Big Jim, which I've done 2 or 3 times already. And what he's basically suggested I do is take the new motor that he's just reworked and save it, break it in and use it for backup, and take out, again, we're doing this, and I want to explain the theory of it. This is a proven motor. This is the number 2 Cardinal motor, and that's his handwriting on it. With a machined exhaust flange, we have this machined so we can get the muffler to come in a little closer to the body. It's got a 150-pound head that George anodized, a 315 Venturi. So we know this is a proven motor, and what we want to do, because our flying time in the season coming up will be very limited. We won't get to do the kind of extensive flying that we've done in the past. And maybe if we decide as a backup or whatever, we want to use this plane at the Nats, we want to use a proven motor. I'll save the new one in the box. I'll break it in methodically, as you've seen I have done on the past. But I will use this motor, and this is always a good idea. Now, what I'll do too is I'll go into my notebook. I have the notebook from the Red Baron, and I'll see exactly what tank and what tank shim I was using when I ran the 60. And I hope I can get that on either the first or second shot. I won't spend the whole day shimming the tank and taking a motor in and out. So having notes at this point in time, having notes is a very important part of trying to get everything back the way it was. Just trying to mention all this stuff on video so when you build your new plane or you anticipate building a new plane, you don't get caught up in the what I call the winter fantasy, where in the winter, when it's snowing outside, you look around and, that doesn't seem important. I'll just put a big scoop here. I'll do this. I'll leave out the fiberglass. I'll make it lighter. I'll drill holes in the motor mounts. And come springtime, the first day of spring, you flip the prop. The motor doesn't run. You go crazy fixing things and repairing things. Use summer technology in the winter and you'll really be ahead of the game. This is a proven motor with a good track record. I know where the tank shim will be. I know I can go at it on the first day, be flying consistent patterns. So that's the theory. That was the final decision from the big guy, and that's what we're going to go with today. We're going to try to shoehorn this back into the Red Baron and do the patchwork on it. Now I'm trying to pass on to you some of the things I've learned over these many years of doing this. Here's another real important thing that can save you time and energy. I have the box with all my fuel tanks in it. I have each one marked. These are tanks, and by the way, Woody Midgley made me some very nice tanks that I've used. Big Jim has made them. I like to have some of both. What I have though is each tank has a note inside of it. What ship it was in, what tank shim. I have a stack of shims, and what's real good if you can find it is thin plastic for shims. The plastic doesn't absorb oil, and it lets you do it. This is 25 thousandths plastic. I got this from Billy Suarez. What it is, I have each tank is the tank from the yellow Cardinal, what shims went on it. So I keep them in a plastic bag. I have these tanks with the baffle from Big Jim. These are the tanks that I really like to use with 60s. Woody's tanks work well. I have on this tank engraved right into it, no shim on this tank. This is one of the experimental ones with some trick tubing. Keep a little bit of oil on the tank. I have this plug so when you put a 5-ounce tank where a 7-ounce tank is, it doesn't slide back. I like to have all the tanks with the vents coming out the front so I can interchange them. Nothing is more frustrating than, here's another one, and I have plenty of oil on this one. This one's in good shape. And oh, I see the tubing is leaking here. And the shim that went with it, and which plane it went in. So, having all this stuff here now, when I take the VMAX tank out, and I will replace the tank obviously with a 60 tank. The VMAX tanks are a little bit different. The baffling is different in them. But we're going to put in right now the tank that was in here before with all the shims exactly the way it was, and hope that that saves us at least one day at the field. It's important to have, when you put a tank away, right, what plane it came out of, what shim it worked with, and what fuel consumption you were running. If the more notes you can have, the better it is when you want to go back and retrofit this stuff into the plane. Okay, now with all the old hardware removed, this is what's significant here. If you can picture this in your mind, this is all sheeted inside now. It's perfectly dry though. Because of the tuned pipe, we don't have any oil at all in here. It's dry. I don't know, I'll try to get down here with a macro lens. I took out the M600 thinking I was going to have to degrease this puppy, but it doesn't even look like it's going to need degreasing in here. It looks real nice and clean. The aluminum mount pads have maintained the integrity of the nose, and all we're going to have to do is cut the hole where the muffler and the muffler bolts go through. And we're pretty much ready to go here. This is an unexpected break. What I like to do is get out all the things I'm going to need for the repair, the Sikkens, my little spray can of Sikkens, some clean Bounty, some forceps here. Now the next thing is just let's start, well, we got to replace the tank yet and then shoehorn back in the 60. It might be worth just showing too the box of tune pipe parts that we have developed over the years here, and they all seem to be winding up back in the box, and the 60s seem to be winding up back in the plane. But anybody doesn't think that I've developed this and made this decision without trying it. I want to emphasize I have tried about every system you possibly can, and I really have spent the time and energy, and I'm perfectly willing to share my honest feelings with anybody. But this is just one box of many that has tune pipe parts in it. And we have metal pipes, steel pipes, carbon pipes, little after mufflers, tubing, all kind of Craig Gunda headers, all kinds of stuff in here that you can't believe. And the sum total of this whole box is that the 60 is going back in the plane. So if you can use that information, great. If you can't, or if you're intent on experimenting, you know, maybe I can help you out and get you past some of the pitfalls. But there are many pitfalls, believe me. And of course, because the plane was made for a Super Tiger 60 to begin with and has the right spacing, it pretty much just drops right in there. The tank is in and shimmed, and what we're looking for now, we're just going to repair this in the bottom. I'm going to do all the hardware up here. We're going to kind of leave this area here open in case we want to run that Russian motor at some point in the future. And we'll just seal up the back. Now, if you think you're going to be trying some more side exhaust engines, you might want to save that little piece. We just touch that with sandpaper and we're ready to go again. Seal it up with hot stuff, seal the edge, and we're all set to go. And of course, we did the same thing to the cowl. Just get in there with a little piece of tubing, with some sandpaper wrapped around the tubing, and you'll know when you hit the original opening when you start hearing plywood. Because the plywood would go right up to the old opening. And of course you want to, by sealing it with hot stuff, you'll keep it fuel proof from this point on. Now a good way to do this, get some thin can't talk with a pin in my mouth. Some thin CA. Of course, when you want one, they're never around. You can get a Q-tips out, and it's the fuzz, the lint in the Q-tips that kicks off the CA, and then you don't get that big white globby stuff. Just rub it in with Q-tips like I'm doing right here. And then we'll look and see if we have some touch-up paint. If not, what we'll do is go down and buy a quart of touch-up paint. Just dust it on there. Another neat tip here, another thing to think about when you're designing cowlings up, a nice big needle valve hole. And what happens here, I don't have to readjust the needle valve when I take the cowling off. That's a nice consideration. Okay, what I'm going to do is give this a second coat, and then finish it off with a coat of thick, and then just let the thick kick off at its own pace. The Q-tips will help kick it. The dust actually is the thing that kicks it.
Now the final thing is a little coat of thick, and the thick will actually become a base for the finish. You ever try to talk with something in your mouth? It's unbelievable. Okay. Now this one we don't want to kick. We'll just let this sit, and that'll leave a nice glassy surface to put our finish on. 2 coats of thin, 1 coat of thick. Okay, that'll be ready for painting. Let's see if we can show this on the macro lens. What I want to show is how nice that finish comes out. I don't know if we can do this on the macro lens. See how you get like a glassy surface there? Now if you don't kick it, that surface will dry nice and shiny like that. And what we're going to try to do then, of course, is put some finish on that. You won't even have to sand it. It'll be real nice. So that's a good trick when you got to do a little repair, a little finish. Little refinish patch. And one of the things you never want to do without is when you make a plane up is have plenty of touch-up paint. In this case we just found this real old jar. It needs to be thinned and everything. Mix it up real good and we have our touch-up paint to do all these little areas that we're working on. Now one of the tricks to doing touch-up paint, this paint was obviously from a spray gun, is scoop out, it's called decanting. Scoop out some of the pigment from the bottom, let the paint dry, and we'll put it in a lid, mix it up real good, make sure the color matches, and then let that dry. Just let that sit there for maybe 10 minutes or so. While it's sitting there, it'll gas off and it'll become nice and thick. It'll be just perfect. See, we can take one of these little pieces, make sure we have a good color match. Yeah, it's almost perfect. Just let that dry 5-10 minutes and then we'll do the that'll get nice and thick and jello-y. We'll do a nice touch-up on this. Now that paint is nice and thick now, and in essence you have a real good touch-up paint now. You can touch up the inner edge, go right over the old CA. This will fuel-proof it, keep the appearance up. Again, what happens to a lot of people, it's a sad thing, is they build a real nice airplane and in the first year it takes a beating. You know, it has the usual problems, you know, little cracks here and there, little places need to be touched up. And they never touch it up, they just go run off and build a new plane. Well, these planes are all old. Anybody knows, you know, has watched the videos, knows this plane was built in '89, so it's now 5 full years old. And it's going to need a little maintenance from time to time. It's going to need a little touch-up. It's going to need a little, just what we're doing today. And maybe this will inspire you to go out and take one of those old planes and get it all nice and spiffy and new looking and cleaned up. Some of the little techniques we use to keep these planes going long after they should be dead. And you can see how nice and thick the paint is. It goes right over the CA like glass. Perfect. And really no extra effort, very little effort. What you don't want to do is take a new can of paint or dope or whatever, don't know if we're going to get this on the lens, and just run off and put it on it. You want to decant it a little bit. Scoop up the pigment off the bottom of the jar. You can see how nice that touched up. Just clean off some of the dust here. We're ready to put the muffler on this guy now and get the rest of the hardware up in the nose and start the major repair. Now one of the things we had to do is get the shim right so that the spinner fits up against the motor. We have plenty of shims here. And getting that shim right has been a kind of a lengthy, time-consuming thing, but we think we have it right now. So we're going to go on to the patching and the repair. Now finally, with all the shims, we have the little stinger on here. The muffler got everything pretty well set just the way we want it now. Now we have some cracks in the paint up here by the where the Red Baron lettering is, so we want to kind of fill those in. We want to make this piece in here. We're going to take the tune pipe mount out now. Make a little block for here and a little piece for here, a little filler, and then block it off here so it's oil tight, and then get the finish started. This is one of the new Art Adamson mufflers that's welded. Obviously give Big Art a call if you're interested in one of these, and we're using a little rubber. Not the restrictive one. Now if you use one of these stingers, there's one that has a 300 hole and one that has a 350 hole. You want the one with the big hole if you're going to run a 60 or 51. As step one, I want to get some M600 on here and a little sprayer. And get everything real clean before we even start making up the patch. The M600 will get rid of all the oil and excess stuff here. Get it nice and clean if there is some oil in there. And a little hole in the back where the tune pipe used to exit. Get the area nice and clean. Now we already touched up the wing, it was just a question of touching up the paint. And we're ready to start carving up a piece that's going to fit in here and a piece to seal the bottom. The first thing I want to do is make a tracing of this piece back here, just to use as a template. So I can trace it from the outside and then adjust it by about 1/8 of an inch. I'm using a nice light piece of 1/8 inch wood. Right now I have a real rough template. Now I can just start shaving it down until I can fill that gap. I see I got this a little too big. Keep sanding and filing away until I have a plug. Okay, once we get a pretty decent fit, we can just tack this into position. Let me just get in there and get a little glue fillet going so this is kind of sealed up. I want to try to just rough this piece out. Again, it's another piece of 1/8 inch. We'll make it a little bit oversized here. I just want to get a little feel for where this piece gets a little wider here. Got to take some off here. A little bit ahead of that. A little bit ahead of that. Now, if what I'm going to do is put an angle on this piece, I'm going to taper it in. So it's like a V going in. This way I'll pick up an edge along the whole thing when I go to assemble this. Now you can see where I got this a little bit oversized now. I'm trying to press it in. Get the V to cut. I got a little bit of an angle back here. I can sand this angle in. If you always use that method of using a V to make a plug, it really won't be a problem. Now I got to take some material off here. Wherever it picks up a high spot, alright, we're almost there. You got to take a little more off of this side. Okay, and we'll fill this in with an extra little piece now. Now a good trick to doing this is get it in with thick CA. I put some thick CA on this and line up one edge first. In this case, I'm trying to line this edge here up. And then we'll trim the second edge. Yeah, we'd like to have, if we had a choice here, looks like we're not going to have a choice, get the balsa up a little higher. Because it'll be easier to sand the balsa down than this piece. Now with one side in tight, we can just go down and tack this side down with the thin. Try to let the balsa stick up a little further and the wood around it. Okay, now you can see we have a little gap to fill in here, so we'll just cut another little strip. Again, make it a V. Make a V out of it, press it into position like a plug. Learning how to do plugs will make any repair job a lot easier. You can spread it open with a little X-Acto knife. As long as it fills in the gap. Now what I wanted to do is put a little lip in here of 64th plywood or some thin balsa. So I want to cut the angle in so I have a surface to glue it to. And try to get some kind of a feel for what that angle is going to be. Now I put some thick CA in here. Let's see if I can get... This will just give us a little feel for what the fit is going to be. Now we'll get in there with a new, and by the way, this is something Midgley gave me at the end of last season, these scalpel blades. They seem like they work real good on this. And the first cut, just get off a big chunk of material so you can see how much you have to trim down to. Now obviously one of the things we want to do is seal this up. We don't want to have any pinholes going into the body where oil can get in, so we want to get some halfway decent wood fits here. Okay, we have half of it now. This is a trick you can use making any cowling, any kind of a scoop actually. You can use pretty much the same thing. Now we can just get the angle down this way. Maybe by seeing some of these little techniques here, you'll be able to invent your own kind of cowl scoops. Okay, just roughly, that's what we're looking for. Now, take some 320 paper and just try to knock this down a little bit. So I got down to 240 here to rough this out. Here's another trick. If the sheeting is down a little bit too much here, you can just cut it with a razor blade and bring it right up and re-glue it. I had to do that a few times here to get the seam just right. We're looking to get the seam real equal. Again, I guess one of the things most people are really afraid of, I guess is the right word, is doing a decent repair on a plane. A decent repair shouldn't be something you're afraid of. And this way, you know you already have a good flying plane here. Any time and energy you spend on it, you know. It's not like building a new plane where you really don't know if it's going to pan out or not. You know this plane flies well. So any time you invest in it right now is really like money in the bank. Now we'll finish it up with a softer block. Always go from a larger block to a softer block. Any little gaps you have, just let them fill with sawdust. Now we have a little gap right here. Where's that CA? Oh, man loses his CA. Take the thin CA first. Okay, anyway you see you have a little sawdust seam, just run a little CA down there. Let that dry and then we'll sand it back down. Now one of the things you always have a problem with is when you're trying to sand a soft piece of wood into a hard piece that has a finish, you're always going to get a little step. So a way to kind of solve some of that is get the seam, just run some thin CA right down the whole seam after you have it sanded, and then take the old Q-tip and spread it around. No kicker now, the dust will be the kicker. And what that does, it goes from being hard and it kind of tapers in. In fact, this thing is kicking off right now. You don't get that step where it's hard, soft, hard, soft. Now you can do this over and over again and you'll find out you can do a nice blend from the wood that's already finished right into the wood that isn't finished. And now what we're going to do, because this is a relatively small repair, we're just going to soak the whole piece of wood with CA when we get down to where everything is kind of smooth and even. Okay, now we almost can't feel that seam right now. That's coming out real nice. There's a couple of high spots here. But now, if we were to just keep doing this, all we're going to do is keep knocking down the soft wood. We're never going to get it a nice smooth transition. To get that smooth transition, what we need to do is soak the whole piece of wood in CA. And to do that, I'm going to start up in the front. Just put a little bit on at a time. Rub it with Q-tips. Rub it in, actually. Just go right down the whole piece, change the Q-tip. The tip will always keep clogging up on this because you're picking up little sawdust on the tip here. Okay, this whole thing has one coat of CA on it now. So now I'm hard. Now I can very gingerly just sand this right in. And very delicately, and maybe I'll put a second coat of CA on here before I start to put the finish. Now you're probably wondering why you can't do the whole plane this way. Well, you probably could. Bobby Hunt did a couple planes this way. But I know there's a weight penalty. This is just a good way to do a repair. Now, if you've seen the wheel pant video, I think that's number 17 or 18, you know this is how we put the finish on the wheel pants with CA. The trick is you got to do it in 2 or 3 thin coats. You got to sand each coat. Get the last coat on with 500 or 600 sandpaper. Get it all knocked down nice and smooth. And you can do this by feel now. You can feel you can feel the rough spots in the CA. But again, we're going hard to hard. We're not going hard to soft. So it's real easy to pick up the bad spots now. So now we just have a thing where we'll spend about 10-15 minutes sanding this down. And we'll probably get, because we're going to go through in spots, we'll put a second coat on. And this will be sealed in and ready for some color finish. Now if you were to do this with butyrate dope and tissue and everything, well, it'd probably be a little lighter, probably be a little nicer. And it definitely would take a week or two for everything to dry up and everything. Where this will be done, and we started this morning at 8 o'clock, this part, and it's 11:30 now. So 4 hours and we're going to have colored paint on the plane. And we all working under a lot of time constraints because of the work we're doing on the houses. The renovations and things are both at the shop and both upstairs. Now after a pretty good sanding, this coat I want to just drop the CA on, rub it with a paper towel. That gives you a nice blend for the second coat. Probably even could do this for the first coat. And just as it starts to kick, get the towel off. Now you can just dress the whole thing off after this last coat with some nice 320. Get in all the corners. Get around all the edges. Any spots you go through, obviously, you have to touch them up with a little Q-tip and some hot stuff. So what we really wound up with is a skin of hot stuff. And we're going to decant up a little more of that red paint and get a coat of red on here. And see how this looks. Now we also have a little hole back here. We want to just do the same thing. Make a little pattern. Make it oversized. Taper it like a cork in a bottle. We'll be ready to get paint on this in 10 or 15 minutes here. Just make it a little oversized. You can do it by eye. Let's get some CA here. All this is for is to seal it up. Never edit anything out of the video. Now the trick is when we do the red paint, we're going to go right up to the nearest ink line and hope that'll help disguise it a little bit. This is where the tune pipe used to exhaust out here. As long as you taper it, if you do taper plugs, you can patch almost any hole to the point where you almost won't even see it. Well, we gave that touch-up paint an hour to dry. I want to take it outside and run the motor now. Get it ready, so just in case we do have a real nice flying day here in the near future, well, you know what? We'll be ready to fly. Always a good idea after you change an engine or switch a tank or whatever, before you get down to the field, get a bench run on it. In this case, it's almost mandatory, because what I want to do is when I get out to Flushing or wherever, I want to flip the prop and go. I don't want to be tinkering around with things. So I'll go out there and get a bench run on it right now. Yeah,
certainly turned out to be a nice day here for a bench run. Get this motor broken in. Hey, I'm even going to run the motorcycle, charge the battery up here. Anyway, you can see just about where we are as far as the house goes. We'll run it in there. We get the decoration for Christmas up. Really made a lot of progress here. I'm real happy the way everything's coming out. Real happy to have the old 60 back in here. I know what kind of reliable performance I've had in the past. I don't expect anything less right now. But it's always a good idea, I can't say it enough, get a bench run on it. Just in case something's loose. When I get out to Flushing or wherever, I basically want to flip that prop and go. Just to give you a little idea of the jobs we worked on today, we got all our little stuff organized here. You can see we did our P-Touch labels. We got everything painted white, a nice second coat of white. Nice picture of Dave Midgley there. White, remember everything here is we're trying to get white. Maximum amount of white here possible in the shop. And so far that's worked out real well. Fluorescent lights and white, very important. All of our dressers are now painted up. Everyone is marked up with the appropriate label. Made a lot of progress. Everything's really falling into place now right at the very end here. Actually, in fact, I was right in the middle of testing some head gaskets on this for Big Jim. Right in the middle of the whole thing here, we had a snowstorm. The first snowstorm of the year kind of wiped out any flying we were going to do this weekend. We had plans to check out the Red Baron. In fact, we even had a set of lines and handle all cut up and ready to go, but looks like we're going to have to put that part on hold, at least for now. Now, in keeping with the idea of having everything white, we ripped down, this is the bathroom in the shop. Everything again white, everything. Good way to spend a snowy day. We can't do any motor testing today, we can't do any flying. So what we did do, we spent the whole day actually and got the whole bathroom painted white. Even just spending a little time in here reading a magazine or reading an old stunt news or something is a little more pleasant. As we sneak up on Christmas, I just want to extend a real happy holiday to all the families that we have known over the years, our friends, customers, whatever. This is Karen and my, well, it's our first Christmas in our new house. You can see we decorated the tree yesterday. We still have snow on the ground from the storm. This is one of our hobbies, and it just ties in with the model planes nicely as we build these little villages each year. And every year I try to put about 2 minutes of this on the video just to show just what our, our doll houses, train sets here, Christmas things. When you're a modeler, I guess you're a modeler forever. I guess it really never does change. Our doll house is coming along nicely, even though we haven't had time to work on it lately. And we are going to have, hey, maybe we'll shoot a little video this afternoon. We are going to have some guests for dinner. We're going to have the Ortizes and Suarezes, we hope, if they make it through the snow anyway. Anyway, for real, we really do wish all our friends the happiest of times this Christmas time. Absolutely the best of all things with your new airplane projects, good health, everything that goes with it. It's a happy time for us and for our family. And as you probably can tell, I'm really a kid at heart. I really love my trains, doll houses,
Christmas trees, I love it all. Anything but reality, that's the name of the game.
Oh my
Get this.
God.
See, now Joe Ortiz forgets his camera here.
Wait a minute.
Cheapo, come on, let's
I
have
want to
a
wish the best of health and happiness in this beautiful home that Wendy has here, and I want to enjoy the champagne. It looks like
Yeah,
orange
drinking all my
juice. It's really
champagne.
It looks like oranges, but it's really
Looks like
Oh my God, Debbie Borelli, tell us the truth, Debbie.
Hi. Merry
Hey.
Christmas.
Look at this. Look, hey, the wife. Anyway, look at this. Look at this plate of bacon. Bob Lampione could go into serious shock here. The Lampione bacon.
yeah. Send him a
I'm
copy.
gonna send Lampione a copy.
Send him a piece of bacon.
Look at this food. Oh man, I'll tell you, just like Bosnia,
Or
huh?
what else is in the
Unbelievable.
microwave?
This
That's
cheap
it,
guy.
I think. Well, no, one more thing.
Wino.
Well, we started.
We just had a heck of a nice party here with Suarez and Ortiz and whatever. And I guess that's, in the end, that's the part of this hobby that makes it all worthwhile, is the friendships. Believe me, if there's one thing I've learned, it's the friendships that really matter. And we've had the best. Now check this out. This is from Bill Little of North Carolina, Aberdeen, North Carolina. He made a profile cardinal. Now tell me this isn't cute. Bill, I love this. This is unbelievable. Another shot of Bill's profile cardinal. I love this. Maybe this would be a good kit. Anybody out there interested in a profile cardinal kit? Maybe we should kit this guy. Yeah, nice. I like this. Bill, what you got to do on the next one, I'm telling you, the gold canopy is great. The bird's head, great. I'm telling you, Midgley is going to love this when he sees it. You got to get the curved wingtips onto this somehow. That'll just add the final touch. It looks great, though. Just another view here. This is, I just love this, man. I wish it, you know, hey, Bill, just get in the car, drive up here, put it on my back stoop, leave it here, I'll take care of it, I'll fly it, I'll take it. You ever hear that commercial? I'll take it, I'll take it. Nice, Bill Little. Thanks for the photos.
Working on ounces. I have to do everything on grams.
Yeah, okay, take the gram scale out. Carlos Serra's here with his son. And they brought the tail from their cardinal kit over here. We want to see what it weighs. What'd you get for a weight on this? You're still going to sand this a little bit more too, don't forget.
Yeah, it's about 68 and a half.
68?
And a half.
And that includes the horn and everything? Now you're going to tissue
and the
that?
Inches, and the inches.
Okay, you're going to tissue that?
Yes.
Turn it over, let's see the other side. Yeah, that looks real good. Real nice. Ready right off the plans, right?
Yes, this one.
Does Len have his done?
Not yet.
You still working on the wing?
They are debating whether to build this one or the geodetic tail.
Oh, okay. Now, even if you make it geodetic, doesn't matter. It wouldn't change that much.
Yeah.
That crutch looks nice. This looks real good.
Thanks. We did some sanding on the crutch, but there is not much weight.
Nah, you wouldn't get a lot of. You're only going to get like 2 grams off it or something.
Yeah.
That's not that much. Anyway, that's coming out real nice. Next time you had the wing finished?
The wing is finished, yes.
Oh, next time you come up, bring the wing. We'll take a look at the wing. Yeah, that looks good. Now, you got the fuse sides ready to put that on and everything?
Ready to glue, yeah.
Oh, okay. So
But,
next time you'll have the whole thing. In other words, where's it? Look under here. I have Don's body under there. There's a body right under there. Take that whole body out. That's Don's old body. He's got to finish this plane. So you could compare the nose section to that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I see. He used less block in here.
Yeah, you could
And
get
you
some
cut
weight.
this
You could do that on yours too. You could take some weight out of there if you want.
See, but I would like to have the motor mounts going up to the wing. You know, butting against the wing. That's why we left them longer.
Well, just leave them long like that. That's all. It's better if it could touch the wing. That's for sure.
Can I put this on a scale?
Yeah,
Just
put
for
it
my
on
own
there.
knowledge.
Sure. You could take it home with you if you want.
No, I just want to see how light it is compared to the wood.
Yeah, it's always
I
a
can
good idea to keep track of this stuff.
Compare, you know, our notes.
You know, but the problem is you always listen to other guys and then they tell you this weighs a certain amount, and it's bullshit that it's not what it weighed. Then you try to make it and you go crazy trying to make it so light.
It's about 248 grams.
No, it's less than 10 ounces.
Okay. So we should
Maybe
be
8
able-
ounces or so.
we should
So you allow
be
3/4 of an ounce for the top block?
Yeah, we should be okay. We should be
Yeah.
about.
Well, I always figure 10 ounces for the body. When you have the blocks all hollowed
Yeah.
out and everything, 10 ounces is good. Now we're getting getting down near the end of this tape, and Joe Ortiz had a great idea, and I want to share this with you right now. Joe Ortiz, of course, is like a semi-professional photographer, and he has just album after album of professional quality photographs of all the planes from the 85 Nats up till now. And what Joe and I have decided to do is over the after the first of the year, we're going to get together on a weekend and try to get all of his photographs, and believe me, there are many and they are very good quality, put onto a video or even 2 videos and make it available to all the people. Now, I've used Joe's pictures, I mean, going way back when for my articles and Flying Models, Stunt News, whatever. And it's going to really be exciting to have access to this. I mean, tremendous collection of pictures, and they are coming up early in the next year. Look for a couple of tapes, 1 or 2 maybe, and I'll get Joe Ortiz to do the commentary, so you have the right from the horse's mouth. Me. Anyway, we're looking forward to getting that stuff on video now. Now, like I said, the deal is, you know, we're all getting older, we're all getting uglier and fatter and who knows what, and hair is falling out and teeth are falling out. But the one thing we really have from this event, and at least I have it anyway, is the memories of how good we were years ago. And it's kind of an emotional thing, but the memories of how we used to be. We never remember the bad bottoms, we only remember the good ones. And when I go back and look at some of these old pictures, I just can't help thinking, you know, the music, the way we were, seems to be a very appropriate thing. And I love to look back at the old pictures. I'm sure the situation is like with anybody. You know, you look at the old picture albums and you think, oh gee, I was so young there, I was so cute there, or whatever. I mean, believe it or not, even Big Jim was young and good looking at one. Well, he was young at one time anyway. But that's the whole point. Having this stuff on video, if Joe only had his own albums, well, you know, how many people would ever get to see them? Through the magic of video, thousands of people are going to enjoy these pictures in the future. This is Bob Whiteley's new 6-engine stunner. Watch out, Walker. Like I said, these are the memories of our life, the way we spent our life, what we did with it, who we spent it with. And I hope you've enjoyed sharing it with us.